75 seconds. You know, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around, but that is the incredibly brief, just insanely tense window of time during which this completely historic and chaotic sequence of events unfolded. Literally, in just over a minute, a totally ordinary political rally transformed into a scene of absolute international shock.
We are looking at the exact seconds between the very first gunshot and a photograph that immediately traveled around the entire world. There has obviously been a tremendous amount of noise circulating since July 13th, but in this explainer, we're going to cut straight through all of that. We need to present this scene by scene exactly as the source footage shows it, looking strictly at the confirmed facts, the timestamps, and the dates.
So mapping the Trump shooting, a scene-by-scene timeline. Let's jump right in.
Part 1, July 13, Butler, Pennsylvania.
Okay, let's set the stage here. It's a sweltering early evening, right around 6 p.m. Eastern, on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. The stakes are really high, right? Pennsylvania is a vital swing state, and there are tens of thousands of supporters in attendance. Most of the crowd is standing right in front of the stage, flanked by bleachers on the center left and center right. And if you look directly behind the stage, there are 3 large buildings. Secret Service snipers are positioned on the far left and far right roofs of those buildings, actively scanning for threats. But as we know, the threat didn't actually come from those immediate buildings. 400. That is the absolutely crucial measurement here. The shots actually originated from the roof of a completely different building located exactly 400 feet, or about 120 meters, north of the stage. To put that into perspective, that's just a little bit longer than a football field.
Section 2, the timeline of the attack.
At exactly 6:11 p.m., a literal split-second movement changes history. Former President Trump turns to his right to point at a chart displaying border crossing statistics. And Trump later stated that turning his head at that exact microsecond is what prevented a direct, fatal impact. I mean, it's just a staggering statistical improbability when you think about it. All right, here is the exact second-by-second breakdown. At 0 seconds, bullets tear through the air. The gunman fires an initial round of 3 shots. As Trump reaches up, that first bullet pierces his right ear, and he ducks down. Just 3 to 4 seconds later, which is an incredibly fast reaction time, Secret Service agents swarm the stage, literally using their own bodies as a human shield. But immediately after that first volley, the shooter fires 5 more shots into the venue.
Part 3, the immediate response.
Now, tragically, the collateral damage in the crowd was very real. The gunman's fire caught spectators who were seated in the bleachers in the crossfire. 50-year-old Corey Comparatori was killed, and 2 other crowd members were critically injured. In direct response to this, Secret Service personnel engaged the threat, officially confirming they neutralized the shooter on that rooftop.
What's really wild about this specific moment is the audio. Because Trump's microphone was actually still live underneath that swarm of agents, a hot mic captured the incredibly tense exchanges on stage. You can clearly hear an agent ask, "Shooters down, are we good to move?" right before they initiate the physical evacuation.
So mapping out that evacuation timeline, 42 seconds after the gunfire began, agents on the stage verbally confirm the shooter is down. Then, at the 75-second mark, and there's that 75 seconds we talked about at the very beginning, Trump is helped up, bleeding, as agents prepare to escort him to an armored vehicle. He raises his fist, mouthing the words "fight, fight, fight," which creates that globally recognized photograph. Later that night, he was flown to New Jersey, appearing to be doing well.
Part 4, shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks.
So, what do we actually know about this guy? Well, looking strictly at the facts, Thomas Matthew Crooks was 20 years old. He was armed with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, and authorities confirmed it was legally purchased by his father. He worked in a kitchen and had a membership at a local shooting club. Now, while Pennsylvania public court records show absolutely 0 criminal history for him, the FBI did later discover suspicious devices in both his car and his home. But here is where his profile gets deeply contradictory. His political footprint is just all over the place. Voter registration records show he was officially registered as a Republican. But conversely, records from 2021 show he made a $15 donation to a liberal voter turnout group using a Democratic donation platform. It's a seriously conflicting piece of data that investigators are still actively trying to unpack.
Section 5, investigation and unanswered questions.
Of course, the most pressing question on everyone's mind is, why were forces unable to prevent the attack? Current analysis circulating on X suggests the Secret Service snipers positioned immediately behind Trump were likely scouting for dangers much, much further away. And this has led to a theory that the closer, 400-foot vantage point might have fallen under the jurisdictional responsibility of local law enforcement instead. Now, keep in mind, this analysis remains completely uncorroborated right now.
Which brings us to a massive, glaring logistical question regarding spatial failure. Just practically speaking, why couldn't our men climb up on this building? How exactly does a 20-year-old with a rifle manage to secure a completely unguarded vantage point just 400 feet from a presidential candidate?
And finally, that leaves us with the biggest, most unresolved mystery of them all. What was Crook's motive? Between his lack of a criminal record, his completely contradictory political leanings, and his baffling ability to breach a secure perimeter, the why here remains just as elusive as the how. As the exact timeline of those 75 seconds is permanently etched into history, highlighting the staggering fragility of our security perimeters, you have to wonder,